How's it going, guys? My name is John Fernandez, and if you don't know me, I am a street photographer slash full-time videographer living in New York City. And this is a POV street photography video that I filmed last week on my photo walk. And overall, pretty successful day. I was debating on whether I wanted to do a voiceover or not, but I decided I'm gonna do one. So this is me warming up. I've been walking by this window since I lived in my new place, and I've been wanting to, get shots like this for a while, so I was able to get a couple of self-portraits, and then got a couple of these shots. These are actually probably one of my favorite shots, definitely one of my favorite shots on the day. Just absolutely love the texture, love how the frame looks, and I sort of love the feel I was able to capture shooting through this window slash waterfall that this bank had. Stuff like that is just really interesting to me, and it may not be like the crispiest image, but I just think it has a cool vibe overall. And in this video I'm gonna just try to talk as little as possible, so definitely just sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. So I ended up walking through a few of these alleyways, and right now I'm in like the financial district area, like pretty close to Chinatown, which is where I live. And I came by this like super cool, highlight shadow area where there's just a lot of contrast, and I really liked sort of that triangular frame that was being created. And there was a lady who was walking behind me, but she was like, I wasn't sure if she was gonna go into the building because she was waiting at the door, and her and I made eye contact a few times, and I think she knew that I was waiting for her to walk by me. So I ended up waiting here probably for a solid like 5 to 6 minutes, and she was still just trying to like go through this one door. So then I decided to walk away, try to like seem like I was walking away, and voila, right when I did that, she started walking exactly where I needed her to be. And all it took was just a few frames, and I absolutely love these images. I've already posted these on Instagram if you want to check them out at the John Fernandez. Really, the first one where you can't really see her face at all is definitely my favorite. I sort of love that like anonymity. It's a hard word to say, but the anonymous feeling of like not being able to see your subject's face, but you see what they're doing. I just think it's really interesting, and I just liked that frame overall a lot. And of course, whenever you're doing street photography, not every photo is going to be great. I sort of always capture like a lot of photos like this where they're just really basic scenic, sort of like urban landscape shots involving people. And with street photography, not every shot's going to be good. And throughout this process, you're sort of warming up, and you're sort of just waiting to get those shots that you really, really like. The shot coming up here definitely had the potential to be cool. I do think it's still pretty cool, but instead of like, an old lady pushing a stroller, I wish it was like, I don't know, a homeless man pushing a cart or something, telling a more interesting story, but all good. This is one of those situations where I kind of just took this picture Didn't love it. I didn't even edit it, but it's just a mental note for me for a spot that I can go back to later and kind of get creative with. And this is one of the situations where, unfortunately, not always do things work out in your favor like they did in that last series of images with the lady walking the alleyway. Sort of found this like diner area that just had some really cool light. I like the scaffolding. There's just some cool framing, and I did end up taking, a photo of just that. But what I really wanted was for, a subject to walk into the frame so I can sort of frame them up with the scaffolding and the diner in the background. And this is another shot where I waited a significant amount of time and literally nobody's walking, so I ended up saying it wasn't worth it and just walked away. And that's going to happen when you're doing street photography. Stuff doesn't always go in your favor. So if you saw the hyperlapse at the very beginning of this video, this is sort of me getting that hyperlapse. I haven't done a hyperlapse actually in a long time. It was something I used to do a lot back in Miami. And there was a period of time where I was just doing a ton of like hyperlapse like Instagram videos. And I actually have a tutorial in my very first video on this channel, which is honestly ass. I show you how I do hyperlapses, and this hyperlapse came out okay. I don't think it was anything too special, and I definitely kind of could have made it a little bit longer, but still pretty cool. Hyperlapses are fun to mess with, especially when you have a purpose. This one sort of just felt like a random thing I decided to do in the moment, but overall pretty happy with it. And this is probably my favorite photo that I got on the day. The reason why, from this one photo, I was able to capture these three images, and the one on the right is my favorite because it's the most like abstract. But that's sort of something whenever you do that like sort of reflection photography, when there's like a lot of layers and a lot of texture, you're sort of able to come away with like these crazy images that you're able to just get like 3 or 4 different frames from, all with their own personality, all telling their own story, but with a similar aesthetic and vibe. And that was a situation where I was able to do that, and I really liked those images. So now I've made my way over to the Oculus and the One World Trade Center. This area is kind of always fun to shoot sometimes. Sometimes it's hit or miss. This is one of those days where it's sort of more hit or miss than anything. Obviously, 9/11 just passed, and so I just kind of want to come here and get some photos for 9/11. And just be able to have a couple social media posts, and I came away with a couple of decent images. The lighting was really cool with the highlights and shadows, and I did get a couple cool shots of this man who was just laying down in the Oculus. I've gotten several shots like this. Every single time I come here, there's always an interesting person sitting along like the Oculus. So again, nothing crazy, but just always good to sort of come here and see what I can get, because this is a very popular tourist area, as you can see. So And this is just one of those situations where I was sort of walking around trying to see any images I can make, and there was none except this one. So I did come away with a couple and pretty happy with how this one came out. And then after this, I sort of just walked around, started taking more photos of the One World Trade Center, or whatever it is that they call it now, the Freedom Tower, and ended up going inside of the Oculus, getting a shot that I've been wanting to try to get for a while, and it still wasn't the best attempt. I've seen better photos from other photographers who have done this, but I think it was a pretty decent attempt, where pretty much you're shooting through the spine glass ceiling of the Oculus and framing up the One World Trade Center in the background. And this is one of those shots as well where it kind of didn't work out exactly how I wanted it to. I actually stayed here much longer than the video even shows. I was here for about like 10 to 12 minutes. Just trying to get like a cool frame using this reflection and this food cart that was on the street. And I got a couple of cool shots, but I think what happens when you're shooting reflections that I'm starting to learn is that if there's not a lot of texture and if it's just like a really clean reflection, the image is just gonna kind of look a little weird. It's not gonna look like a cool reflection photo or a cool like shooting through glass photo, and instead it's just gonna look like you took like a photo with like a really crappy lens or something like that. And I just didn't like the way those came out. And if you've noticed the theme, I've been messing up, or especially this day, I was messing around a lot with shooting high contrast highlights and shadows. It's kind of like a way I'm starting to see the world, especially in the city, where depending on the time of day, you get really intense highlights and shadows in certain areas. And so I've really just been messing around with that a lot. And that's, you know, something I think I came away with like four photos on this day with high contrast shadows and highlights like this one. And here I've made my way to Southside Seaport, and this is just one of those shots where I say this all the time, but I like to shoot, you know, random shots of like buildings like this, especially when the lighting is nice, because they just kind of look good in a set of photos. This isn't necessarily like a fantastic like photo saying much, but if you were to print it in a book, I think it could kind of tie together the setting that you're in pretty well. And of course, I see a cute dog and I have to take a photo of it. And then it was time for a coffee break. Ended up getting a iced espresso seltzer, and it was actually absolutely delicious. And honestly, caffeine midway through a shoot is becoming like a key for me. I need to have caffeine, especially if it's a long day of street photography. I need coffee before I shoot, and then coffee midway through if I want to continue pushing. Because if I didn't have that coffee, I probably would have just gotten home. And later on, I got some shots I was really happy with, so I'm glad I did not just go home. And this is a really cool photo series or set of photos that I got. I was walking by, I'm near Wall Street here, and I just walked by this, sort of trash pile and realized there was a broken mirror on the floor and decided to shoot through it. And I was really happy with the way these photos came out. Again, nothing too special, but I just think it's more interesting than anything. And if you follow me on Instagram, you saw that I posted a reel, and that reel went like viral, and within 2 hours it had like 26,000 views and like 1,000 likes or something like that, which for me is a very good engagement. And so I'm very glad that I took these photos. And this is the type of stuff as a street photographer, it's important to kind of look out for stuff like this when you're shooting, instead of just always focused on what the street you're walking on and just like looking for basic images. Why not look for interesting things to shoot with or shoot through, like this broken mirror? I enjoy doing stuff like this. I think it's a little bit more creative and comes away with some cool, interesting perspectives that not many people would have seen unless I shot this. And so after I took these photos, I ended up taking out my phone and creating that reel, which I think I'm gonna make a video about photographers going viral through Instagram reels, because what I realized is I did go viral in terms of like my page. Like 26,000 views on a reel is a shit ton. Usually I get like 1,000. And it's funny, it was like really high dopamine and it was really great for it to happen. But I realized afterwards that I really didn't gain much from it. I gained like maybe 2 or 3 followers. And there were some comments, there were some likes, but besides that, not much else. And so I'm gonna make a video talking about reels and going viral and what I felt, because I kind of have a lot of thoughts on it, because I think it's actually dumb that I can get 26,000 people viewing a reel and a lot of people liking it and commenting, but then no one's gonna follow you. So I don't know, I'm gonna make a little video talking about that, but that's gonna conclude the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, I don't know, these POV videos are just not necessarily easy to make, but I really do enjoy making them because they're sort of low stress. I just go out, I shoot, I attach my GoPro to my camera, and then I just make a video about it. And so, obviously this YouTube channel is about street photography, and this is sort of pure street photography at its finest. You're just coming along with me for the day, so I hope you enjoy it. Hopefully soon I will be getting a better GoPro and a better POV photography setup. But yeah, if you don't follow me on Instagram, it is at the John Fernandez. Make sure you go there and follow. And I'm gonna have everything linked down below in terms of everything I was shooting with. And make sure you comment, like, and please subscribe. Trying to push to 400 subs pretty soon, if I can just keep posting consistently. Thanks a lot, guys. Peace out. Love y'all. Have a good day.